Good evening. My name is Eric Edwards, and I'm with Prevention Partnership. And today I'm joined with Daryl Edwards, Executive Vice President at Prevention Partnership. And you're watching Prevention Partnership Online Live. We're also streaming on cantv.org/hotline. Today we'd like to discuss one of the programs that we offer at Prevention Partnership. We are a non-for-profit organization, and we specialize in working with communities on the west side, particularly the Austin, West Garfield, and Lawndale community. The address of Prevention Partnership is 5936 West Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. And Daryl, would you like to
Yeah, sure. Let me go a little bit over, the address and the contact information again. If you can give me the overhead here, Eric. Okay. Best way to get in contact with me or Eric is probably through the phone number 773-378-4195. I am at extension 12, so I will get that message directly. Or you can go through the website. In the website, there's a full directory of our entire staff. I've been with the Prevention Partnership for over 30 years, and today's topic is going to be financial literacy training, which is one of the programs that we offer at Prevention Partnership. And our program manager of that program is Mr. Edwards here.
Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate that. Well, again, my name is Eric Edwards, and I manage the Financial Literacy Training Program at Prevention Partnership. The Financial Literacy Training Program is a unique program, and we offer several different modules to teach individuals how to successfully manage bank accounts if you're in the process of reestablishing credit or if you're looking to buy a home. We also cover investments, and we teach individuals the concepts of basic investments to save and to really focus on building a legacy for the future. So what I'm going to do today is go through some slides to just briefly discuss some of the programs that we offer. Some of the topics that we include with our program are Bank on It, which is an introduction to banking services. What we cover in this particular module is the basics of how the banking system works. We focus on what each bank employee does, from a teller to a customer service representative to a personal banker, to a lending officer or a credit officer, which is someone that you would go to if you wanted to buy a car or if you wanted to take out a personal loan. We move on to borrowing basics.
I've got a question, Eric. When you talk all about bankers, what's this whole thing with using a bank anyway? I mean, I usually cash my check at a currency exchange. Why go through all this complicated process with bankers and loan officers and tellers? What's wrong with just using a currency exchange?
Good question, Daryl. I've been in banking for over 20 years, and I always hear that argument. Well, one of the benefits is you're going to save money when you actually bank with a bank. And what I mean by that is a lot of check cashing services, currency exchanges, they charge a lot of fees for cashing checks. You can pay sometimes up to $5, $10, sometimes even $20 for your own money. Now, I don't know about you, but if I work hard for my money, I want to keep it. I don't want to give it to someone else just to cash a check. So one of the benefits is that you save money by actually banking with a bank. And also it allows you to build and establish credit. You can't build and establish credit with a currency exchange. They just take your money.
Okay, well,
but they don't give you anything back.
Okay, got that, Eric.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So again, some of the programs that we also focus on are borrowing basics. Borrowing basics is all about basically lending products. How does a personal loan work? How does a car loan work? How does a credit card work? What is the interest rates that these lenders charge? How much should you be paying on average if you are borrowing to buy a car or to buy a home or establish credit? So it's a really great class for someone that is in the market to take out a loan to really understand how the loan works.
Well, I mean, let me ask you a question again, E. When I first got in college, the first thing they did was the bank just gave me this credit card. Isn't that like free money?
No, it's not free money, Daryl. Fortunately, a lot of people think it's free money. But what happens is a lot of the banks, when a person turns 18 years old, they're now legally an adult. So at 18 years old, you can establish credit. And most financial institutions, particularly banks, they know that an individual hasn't established credit yet. So what they're trying to do is basically get a brand new customer. And hopefully that customer will start with a credit card, and then as they, mature and as they maybe graduate from college or get a good job, maybe buy a house or maybe get a car loan. So really what banks are doing is they're really looking to basically establish a customer for the long term. That's why, most young adults at the age of 18 can get the credit card. But it might not be the smartest thing to do, because a lot of times when you have people that age, they haven't taken our course yet, of course. So they really don't understand how the mechanics of this credit product works. And sometimes they can get themselves in a situation where they spend the money on the credit card and they don't pay it back. And that's some of the things that we cover in our course to try to, prevent that from happening with a lot of young adults.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Also, one of the courses that we cover, which is one of my favorites, is called Check It Out. How to choose and keep a checking account as a consumer. And this is very important because particularly in the community, we see a lot of individuals that will open a checking account, unfortunately overdraft the account, and then get put on what's called check systems. Oh, check systems. Check systems is like the black hole of a bank. I mean, you do not want to be put on check systems when you're with a bank. Because if you're put on check systems when you're with a bank, what that basically means is you're blacklisted, and it will prevent you from opening accounts at other banks. Because every bank that you go to, what they're going to do is they're going to run a report. And if you owe one bank some money, it's going to pop up in a report. So they're not going to open an account for you. So it's very important that consumers understand how checking accounts work, and we teach them how to manage their checking account by keeping a ledger, keeping running balance, always knowing what's in your account, using online banking. Most people have cell phones these days. They can actually use their phone to actually see what their balance is. So these techniques will help them maintain a positive account, not be overdrafted, and not be placed on check systems.
Okay, so a checking account is not the same as a credit card. I mean, I can't just write a check for $300 and pay that check off next month.
No, you can't. The checking account, you actually got to have the money in your account. So the way the checking account actually works is if you have a job and if they're paying you direct deposit, or if they're paying you $500 a week or whatever, that physical money will go into the checking account. And that's all the money you actually have in your account. So you can't really overdraft the account. You can only spend what you have in an account. With a credit card, it's a line of credit. So it's basically, what the company is doing is saying, hey, Daryl, we like you. You're a great guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you about $1,000 of our money to spend. Now, the thing about it is you got to pay it back, but we're going to charge you a little interest. So if I give you $1,000, you got to pay me back about $1,100. That's how the credit card works. But the checking account is basically just your money. The money that you earned at work or from whatever source you're getting income goes into that bank, and you really have to manage that, because if you don't, you're going to overdraft it. And if you overdraft it, you can get yourself in trouble.
Okay, so it's like a paper version of a debit card, or do some checking accounts come with a debit card?
Well, most checking accounts will come with a debit card. It's kind of like a standard product these days. And you need to have a debit card because basically you don't have to keep cash. You can basically just use your debit card to pay for everything, groceries, gas, you can pay your bills. So you don't have to walk around like back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, where you're walking around with $300 or $400 when you went shopping, and then you get knocked in the head, and now you got all your money is stolen. With a debit card, it provides that security for you, so you don't have to worry about walking around with a lot of cash. And also, the debit card is great to use if you want to take trips and things like that. If you want to shop online, you can use a debit card. A lot of people shop at Amazon these days, and by having a debit card, you can just plug in your number right there, and then boom, make a purchase and just use a debit card and be cash free.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Well, some other topics that we cover as we continue to move forward in our program are money matters, how to keep track of your money. Basically, what that is a budget. Most people really spend a lot of money, but they don't save a lot of money. And the reason why they do that is because they really don't know what they're spending versus what they're saving. So it's very important to keep track of your money, how much money you're spending on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, to really keep track of your bills. How much is your rent? How much is your mortgage? If you're going to go grocery shopping, well, set a limit on what you're going to spend. Well, I'm going to spend $50 a week on groceries. If you have a large family, I'm going to spend $200 a week on groceries. Oh, my light bill is $50, my gas bill, my cell phone bill. So really, your money matters because you have to keep track of your money and create a budget. And also, you want to focus on my favorite, pay yourself first. Why you should save, save, save. Most Americans these days, if they actually lost a job, they would actually be in financial distress. Most Americans in 2019 only have maybe 1 or 2 months worth of savings in the bank. So if they were to lose their job because the company was bought by another company, or the company relocated and went to another state, or even sometimes to another country these days, that they would be like in dire straits. So it's important that you pay yourself first. Always pay yourself first. Very important, because you are your best bank. If you pay yourself first, you're always going to have money put aside. And the way you want to do that, you don't have to start off by, putting thousands of dollars in the account. Every time you get paid, get in the habit of tucking away $50 or $100. You put that in a savings account, it's going to start adding up eventually over time. You have a question, Joe?
Well, more like a comment, because I remember once when I had a job, then I lost my job, and then I said, well, I'll get unemployment, but it only lasted 6 months. After my unemployment, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have any money. Mm-hmm. Where am I going to get money? And it was almost like a year or so before I found another job.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a good example. But before you lost your job, let me ask you a question. How long were you working at that company?
20 years or so.
20 years. So let's do some math here. So let's say you worked for the company for 20 years. Let's say you put aside $100 a month for 12 months. That's $1,200 a year. And if you take $1,200 and you multiply that by 20, and I have a calculator with me, but that's a lot of money. So that would have been your savings account. And that's why you always want to pay yourself first, because it's very important for you to really think about, your future, because things happen. We can't control what happens. Nobody knows what the future is going to hold. I mean, we could plan for the future, but we can't control the future. So, as financial advisors and, managing, the financial literacy program, that's what we always tell, like, our students, that, always focus on paying yourself first. Take control of your financial future.
Okay.
Also, we want to keep in mind that, what's important these days is keeping it safe. What that basically means is your rights as a consumer. You have to protect your money, and you have to protect yourself. We also cover, those rights as a consumer in the course, because banks, financial institutions, these days, they can take consumers' personal information and maybe pass that information on to other companies. You might notice yourself personally, you might get robocalls, you might get telemarketers calling you, you might get all these people like sending you mail, you got 1,000 pieces of mail coming, and you're like, how do these people know who I am? Well, a lot of the financial institutions, particularly banks, if you don't basically sign off that you don't want them to share your information, because you can do that as a consumer. That's why we always say, keep it safe, know your rights as a consumer, because as a consumer, your personal information is very valuable. So what we teach our students is that, you really have to focus on protecting your personal and private information. Not to mention that if someone gets a hold of Social Security numbers and things like that, then they can commit fraud, apply for credit, like in your name. So that's, one of the things that, we focus on too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, really having a plan as you focus on your financial future is very important. Particularly in the Austin, Lawndale, and West Garfield communities. Traditionally, financial literacy hasn't been taught like in the community, which is very interesting because as we go through school, through grammar school, we're not taught anything about financial literacy. As we go through high school, we're not taught anything about financial literacy. As we go through college, we're not taught anything about financial literacy. So it's really something that people really don't know about. So that's why it's very important that, people really focus on learning, what they need to do to protect like their financial futures. So let's take a look at a couple more topics. We also want to focus on your credit, how your credit history will affect your credit future. And what that basically means is, we as consumers, we want to one day buy a house. Everybody wants a brand new car. It's 2019 now, they got some great cars out there. So you have to really focus on building and protecting your credit and really knowing what your credit history is. So one of the things we do in the class is really teaching people how to read their actual credit report. We actually teach them how to look at their credit report, how to get copies of their credit report, know their scores. At least I recommend checking your score at least once a month. There are a lot of companies out there where you can do that now. They don't charge you, actually, Credit Karma and those type of things. So, knowing your credit history and your credit future is very important. But even more importantly, you have to understand how to read your credit report. You got to understand what's on your credit report. We also talk about how ways people can improve their credit. There's things that you can do that a lot of people don't really know that they can actually improve their credit. They can actually improve their credit scores. Some of the things that they can do is to get old accounts removed. A lot of accounts that have been on your credit report for more than 7, 8 years can be taken off. So, knowing your credit history and how it affects your credit future is very important. You have a question, Jim?
Yeah, I kind of messed up some credit cards and some stuff a few years ago. If I get paid credit,
I think we have that.
does that mean I messed up forever?
No, that doesn't. What you can actually do is with some old credit files that are out there, you can actually get them removed from your actual credit report. If you actually write a letter to the 3 credit bureaus, which are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, those are just 3. Those are the 3 major credit bureaus out there. And you can basically have old accounts removed from your credit report. If they take a look at those old accounts and they say, oh, this account is like 5 years ago, this account is like 6 or 7 years ago, and you're requesting it to be removed, it can actually be removed. That can help improve your score. There are also what are called secured credit cards, which is a great product that we recommend to a lot of people. The way the secured card works is basically you would open a bank account, basically like a savings account. And you would earn interest in that savings account. And not only will the bank pay you interest in the savings account, they will actually give you an actual real credit card based on the amount that you deposit in that account. Now, the benefit of doing that is because it helps reestablish your credit. And after a certain period of time, it's usually after about 12 months or so, They actually return the deposit that you gave them. They pay you the interest on the money that you gave them, and you get to keep the credit card. And guess what? They usually increase the credit limit. So these are certain things that people can do that can help improve and fix their credit if they made some problems, had some problems in the past.
Okay.
So let's move on and look at another topic that we cover. Loan to own. Know what you're borrowing before you buy. And what we cover in this class is basically mortgages. We look at different type of mortgages, from traditional 30-year mortgages to loans that are basically credit lines, which are called adjustable rate mortgages. And we also focus on not borrowing too much money. A bank would love to lend you as much money as you actually qualify for, but sometimes that's not the best thing to do. So, we always focus on knowing what you're borrowing before you buy. You really should factor in how much your actual mortgage payment is going to be. For example, let's say I want to buy a house, and if I made $3,000 a month, your mortgage payment should only be in the 30 to 40% range of what your actual monthly income is. So let's say, I'll just use 40% as an example. So if I made $3,000 a month, well, if you do the math, then my mortgage payment should only be about $1,200 or so. So that should leave an additional $1,800 so I can pay my other bills. Because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where, the majority of your monthly income is going to pay for a mortgage. You still got to pay your light bill, your water bill, your gas bill, you can buy groceries, you still got a car note, you got insurance, on and on and on. So you got a lot of other things that you have to pay. So what we talk to our students about is really, knowing, what you're borrowing before you actually borrow. Other question?
Yeah, so it was a good idea when I bought a Chevy instead of getting a Cadillac when they were going to give it to me. Yeah, I really don't make that much.
Yeah, definitely. What a lot of people don't really realize, Daryl, is, cars depreciate by by so much. As soon as you drive that car off the parking lot, it depreciates in value by about 20 or 30%. Because, cars, the miles that you're putting on the car, every day you drive it is decreasing in value. So yeah, buy what you can afford. Everybody would love to have, a BMW or a Cadillac, but, the reality is, as long as that car is running, getting you from point A to point B, and you're able to take care of your business, that's the only thing that really matters. Now, as you follow these techniques and, you learn our program, and you really start to understand and you start building up, your income, then you can buy a BMW or a Cadillac. That's fine. But, really should start with what you can afford. Yeah. So let's take a look at a couple other topics as we move forward here. So one of the things we want to talk about, again, is your own home. What home ownership is all about. That's the American dream. The American dream is to buy a home and to live in a great community, have that home increase in value, have the kids go to a great school. That's great, but you really need to know what home ownership is all about. It's actually a long-term commitment. Most mortgages, traditional, are about a good 30 years. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to commit yourself for 30 years? So that's what we cover in that module. And then we also cover basic investing. So hopefully, this was a educational experience and a good format for people to get some information on our financial literacy program. Joe, would you like to say anything before we close?
Yeah, can you show us again how to contact us from your first slide?
Sure, no problem. Again, if anyone has any questions on our program, you can get in contact with us at Prevention Partnership. The telephone number is 773-378-4195. The address is 5936 West Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. And you can also hit us on the web at www.p2online.org.
What does that website look like, Eric?
Well, that's a good question, Daryl. Let's take a look at it. Wow, isn't that nice? So here's our website. So if anybody would like to visit us, again, the address is www.p2online.org. Please visit our website, and they can take a look at some of the programs that we have here. We also offer a BASSET program, which is beverage alcohol seller and server training, and that's also a free program. It's a great program here. You can click on this button to find out more. The staff for P2 is an outstanding staff. So we've got a great team here. So a lot of our employees have been with us for a long time. And P2 is a not-for-profit company that does a great job in the community. So again, with that, we'd like to thank you for watching our program. We will be on every week with different topics, exciting topics, so feel free to join us, and thank you for tuning in to P2 Online Live.